The Afterwards, Chapter 6. Eddie. I chased her off the farm and down the road on the day of her escape. I watched her standing in the back, so darn frightened, getting smaller and smaller as the truck sped up, and my legs tired and slowed. Finally, I stopped running. I turned around. During my walk back to the farm, I had my first real thoughts about Audrey not making it. I mean, jeepers. Not just being out of my life, but actually being out of her life. Not surviving. Gosh, imagine a world without Audrey. That would be the saddest world I could think of. Then I remembered once asking Audrey's mom when I was just a pup where we all go when we no longer are here. I don't know, Eddie, is what she replied. I think any of us really know. Where do you think we should go? I doubt I had an answer at that time, but while I was walking back home, back to Bittersweet Farm, watching Roy sauntering over to the orchard and the sheep returning to their arguments and the cows already grazing and gossiping, the first hints of normal life settling in again, I did have an answer. I think that if Audrey shouldn't survive, I would like to believe she'd be somewhere similar to here, a place where she knew happiness, but this time it would only be happiness. Boris, skunk. She came back. Why did she have to come back? Why give those two-leggers a second chance? Why give Claudette the opportunity, for that matter? Old Boris's heart was near to breaking when she went down. Guns and growls. My, the forest can be cruel. Doris, dear. Mama wouldn't let me go to the homestead meadow during all the commotion. It was nasty business. Oh yeah, I woke up to the ugly noise of a monster chugging and belching, rumbling, all angry like. Then I heard achy moans and shouts that sounded almost like Audrey, but wasn't Audrey because I know that girl's voice. Then I heard growls. They were the nastiest, high-pitched and sharp. They dug themselves right under my skin, just like they do in my nightmares. And then there was this big crack bang, and maybe two, but I'm not sure because a fawn can't be expected to count under such traumatic conditions. Mama said it was thunder, but that was no thunder. Then there was silence. No monsters, no moans, no growls, no nothing. I said to Mama, we should have a look. I wanted to check in with Audrey to find out if she caught some of the action. Mama yelled, "No, Doris, you stay put." Mama sounded crazy upset, but her eyes were scared, so I stayed put just like she said. Madge, cow. She was so brave, charging towards Agnes and me, her expression determined. Farmer and the other might have thought themselves clever with their ruse, but Audrey was not walking in mindlessly into a trap. She was rushing into the fire to save those dear to her. Even as I bellowed out a warning to stay back, I couldn't help but admire her heroism. And then the vicious animal coming out of nowhere and those piercing claws that sent birds flying in all directions. And then Audrey pulled down into the grass, her body so still, the claw marks and blood staining her hide. Poor child, I whispered. Poor, brave child. Audrey, cow. The first thing I saw was sheep as white as clouds. Or were they clouds? I wasn't entirely sure. My head was so groggy, and the sun seemed particularly bright, giving everything a halo glow. If they were sheep, they certainly were very happy sheep. I thought bleating hellos and good wishes and assurances assuring me that my troubles were over and I had found true peace. Torchy, human. If you bother to read the rest of the article, you would have seen that I made a mistake, which I retracted in the follow-up. See, there were two shots, not one. Thought I was hearing the echo of the first shot, not realizing old has the reflexes of a cheetah. Audrey, cow. Then I saw a horse sauntering way off in the distance, but her gait was not even. She had a bad limp off her back leg. Humphrey, human. Reflexes of a cheetah, that's what she said. No, 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 I like that. A cheetah. Sleek, fast, yes. I like that. But, to be serious, I think I just reacted. I had Audrey in my scope, and then out of nowhere, this cougar crossed my line of fire. One does what one has to. She actually said cheetah. Faye, human. As it is often the case with humans, it does come down to the money, doesn't it? The dispute between Daisy Dream and Bittersweet Farms and Casey's delivering regarding who was the rightful owner of Audrey and who was owned or not owned payment was an unpleasant issue I unfortunately needed to involve myself with. However, prior to talking to those gentlemen, I had already contacted some of my benefactors and laid out my proposal. I wanted to be prepared. I didn't intend to take no for an answer. Audrey Cow. There is this creature that I know now to be a donkey. His hind leg was broken in an ugly welts, and he had the saddest eyes I'd ever seen. Marcel is his name, and I soon discovered that he composes love poems, always for Judy, who breathes shyly before running to hide. Torchy, human. Oh, heck, and applesauce. Don't get me started, or I'll be turning on the waterworks again. I didn't want Audrey bumped off. Story or no story, that girl was aces with me. Audrey, cow. There were so many animals, and most, it seemed, had some problem or another, but all of them looked happy and content. What was this place, I wondered? It must be paradise, right? So, where was Mother, or Madge, or Agnes? Faye, human. I made calls, and I used my contacts and connections. I even got a hold of that reporter torturing Merle. I told her what my intentions were, and she got all excited, perhaps because she saw an ending to the story that might sell a whole bunch of newspapers. But on what she called the hush-hush, she filled me in on the plan to use decoy cows to lure Audrey to the spot where they could take her down. After that, it was likely off to the abattoir again, and goodbye, Audrey. So, time running out. Miss Merle told me where and when this would all take place. So the next day, I'm up before dawn, heading towards some unmarked service road, and oh, by the way, just as a side note, I passed two raccoons sitting up on their hind legs, and I swear one of them slapped himself on the forehead, raised his two front paws in the air, and rolled his eyes. Anyways, I went down this bumpy road, and I hear a couple of gunshots. I reach the meadow and see a big red truck, two milk cows, a dazed-looking man staggering to his feet, and Audrey on the ground, motionless, with a huge cougar sprawled on top of her. Something went wrong, I thought. I was too late. Humphrey's human. Having fired my weapon and watched both Audrey and the cougar go down, I rose from my hiding spot, took out my binoculars, and surveyed the aftermath. Satisfied with what I saw, I passed on my report to Miss Merle, beside me, who took the information quite emotionally. The reason that I didn't get over to the bodies right away was because I, being human, well, I was being forcefully held back by Miss Merle. Torchy, human. Well, lock me up and throw away the key.